Okay, tonight's the night is going down. Floyd Money Mayweather versus vicious Victor Ortiz, and I can't let a big fight like this come to town without me jumping in and offering my 2 cents on who I think will win and why. So here it is. First off, I gotta say much respect to Floyd for taking this fight. I posted a video a while back saying that the only 2 opponents that I'm interested in seeing Floyd fight would be Mosley and Pacquiao. So he took the Mosley fight finally. Hasn't taken Pacquiao yet, but fighting Victor Ortiz is just as good. I see Ortiz as a very dangerous opponent. He's not the man that I would have chosen to match Floyd against in his first fight after nearly 18 months. I would have chosen a far lesser fighter first, then went after Ortiz. But that would have meant Floyd fighting more than once in a year, which is not something that he's willing to do anymore. So, I see Floyd taking this fight because he wanted to shut the mouths of his critics, people like me, who've been blaming him for not fighting the top fighters in his weight class, and of those of us that blame him for the Pacquiao fight not going down yet. So he's taking this fight to shut our mouths, and if he pulls off a victory, definitely he will shut my mouth, and I'll have to give him all the credit in the world. So it's a big fight for Victor Ortiz also. It's his biggest payday ever. In his previous fight, when he won the world championship against Andre Berto, he was only paid $300,000 for that fight, and in this fight he's getting $3 million, despite Floyd saying that he's getting 2.5 for some reason. From what I understand, Victor's getting $3 million, so it's 10 times what he was paid in his previous fight. When the fight was first announced early on, I found myself favoring Ortiz to win the match. I was leaning towards Ortiz because I think that he has all the physical attributes that he needs to beat Mayweather. He's strong as hell. He comes into every fight in great shape. He hits hard. He's highly offensive minded, and he fights at a fast pace. He's also knocked down every opponent that he's ever faced. And fighting at a fast pace and being very offensive, I think those are 2 critical elements that every fighter needs if he has any hope at all of beating Floyd Mayweather. These guys that come out there and let Floyd fight at a snail's pace, these are the guys that inevitably end up walking away with a loss. So Ortiz has been criticized, and they say that he has a quitter's instinct because of what happened when he faced Maidana. I don't agree with that. I don't think that was a quitter's instinct. I call that a self-preservation instinct. And it was also an isolated incident. It's not something that you can look at the span of his 30-something fights and say, oh yeah, this guy's a quitter. I think people forget that Larry Holmes quit in the Olympic trials against Dwayne Bobbick. But look where Larry Holmes went from there. Also Roberto Duran quit against Sugar Ray Leonard, but that didn't define Leonard's career. And I don't think the Maidana incident defines what Victor Ortiz is all about. I started to change my mind about Victor Ortiz's chances as I started watching 24/7 more and more, because the show was giving us insights into exactly where Victor Ortiz is psychologically, and it also showed us some things about his trainer that made me change my mind. As you can see in this photograph here, when you let a man put his hands around your neck like this, and before that Floyd was pointing at his face and actually had his finger right in the side of Victor's neck, and you just sit there smiling like this, like it's no big deal, then you've already taken and accepted the role of a submissive. Victor Ortiz is somebody that's just happy to be there. Then there's Victor's trainer. This guy strikes me as the type of trainer they come a dime a dozen. He's the type of trainer that can get you in shape in the gym. He can teach you how to throw a jab, a hook, and an uppercut. That's the easy part of training boxers. We call that chimpanzee boxing. But the type of trainer that can send you into the ring with a winning strategy, and then in between each round give you the adjustments that you need to make, those type of trainers are few and far between. And this Danny Garcia, he falls far short of being that type of trainer. When you're yelling advice in the ring like you're the man, you're going to be champion, trying to give these little petty motivational talks in the corner, that's not what this guy needs at this point. So he said that Ortiz might KO Floyd with the very first punch he throws. He said he's faster than Floyd, he's stronger than Floyd, He can beat Floyd by decision if necessary. He can outbox Floyd if necessary, and he can beat him by either decision or KO. I mean, that's outrageous. It's outrageous to think that Victor Ortiz has a chance in hell of beating Floyd Mayweather by decision. And then he tries to accuse Floyd of being a dirty fighter, saying he was throwing elbows against Hatton. He wasn't throwing elbows against Hatton. He was using his forearm to prevent Hatton from turning it into a wrestling match, using his caveman tactics that he usually used in every other fight. So, I mean, I think Danny Garcia is a choice of trainer. I think he's horrible, and I don't think he's going to be sending Victor into the ring with the right strategy. As for Floyd Mayweather, we're not going to see Floyd at his best in this fight. Keep in mind, he's only fought twice since 2007 when he KO'd Ricky Hatton, and fighting twice in the past 4 years. I mean, that's no way to keep your sword sharp. Plus, we know that the only reason that he even came back out of retirement to fight Marquez was because he owed millions of dollars to the IRS. So much for Leonard Ellaby and Al Heyman doing a great job on the business end, the way Floyd always claims that they do. So now it's been another almost a year and a half since his last fight, which was the decision win over Mosley. So you can tell by Floyd's actions that his motivation is not the same, and that his heart is not into this 100% anymore. Although once he commits to a fight and steps into the training camp for however length the training camp is, whatever, 10 to 12 weeks, I mean, definitely he's 100% focused and committed on that level. After the draw to Lamont Peterson, if you remember, Ortiz said that he was okay with that. He said, "Boxing doesn't define who I am. I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll be happy." So that's a deep statement to me. Boxing is just something that he does, whereas all the great ones, Roy Jones in his prime, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, they say that boxing is part of who they are. So, I mean, the way that Ortiz is talking, the great ones, the great winners, the great champions, they don't talk like that, and they don't think like that. At one point, I was thinking that ring rust might be a factor, and that might give Ortiz an edge. But Floyd's commitment to training is just 100%. So as far as ring rust goes, don't expect to see any. Don't expect to see any wild swings and misses from Floyd. Don't expect to see his timing to be way off kilter. And why do I say that? Is because he knows how to train. He knows how to train properly, and he knows how to adjust his training to bring himself back from a long layoff. He knows that he needs more sparring. He's doing that. Again, I still say he's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be Floyd at his best. That's impossible when you're not an active fighter. But he will know what his limitations are, and he will fight within those limitations, and he will still be able to come out with the victory. As far as strengths and weaknesses go, well, Victor's advantage is that he's the harder puncher. I have to give him that. But he's not a pure slugger. He's not a pure power puncher like a George Foreman was. He's more of a boxer puncher, and that actually makes him more dangerous than one of those slow plodding power punches. Also, he's going to be dangerous for all 12 rounds. He's in incredible shape, and he's not going to fade after 3 or 4 rounds the way that Zab Judah faded. He's going to be there. His weakness is that there's a lot of holes in his defense, and for some reason he can't seem to get the hell out of the way of a right hand. You saw it in the Berto fight, you saw it in the Madonna fight, and the way we saw it, Floyd saw it also, and Floyd is going to be raining right hands on this guy all night long. Floyd's advantage is that he's the much better boxer of the two. His defense is very good, which makes it very hard to hit him with a clean shot. He's always moving. He's always got his body turned at these unusual angles. Floyd's also got much better footwork than Victor Ortiz, and he's got the superior hand speed. In my opinion, he's also much smarter, and that's going to make a big difference in the fight. Also, the thing about Floyd is that he believes in himself more, and I don't think you can really say enough about that when it comes to mental conditioning, having a belief in yourself. Floyd, in my opinion, also has the better corner. in terms of his trainer. So I see Victor entering the ring with doubts. It's impossible for him not to enter the ring with doubts, given the history of his last 4 or 5 fights. Okay, doubt leads to hesitation, and Floyd will be able to capitalize on that. Victor has a slugger's chance, but if he couldn't knock out Berto after knocking him down 3 times, how can he really hope to KO Floyd? Bottom line is that Ortiz is not going to enter the ring with a winning strategy. The smarter fighter will win this fight, and that's Floyd Mayweather. I'm predicting Floyd Mayweather to win by unanimous decision. I don't see him knocking Victor Ortiz out because Floyd has never knocked out a welterweight, and I don't see Victor being the first in line because of Floyd's inactivity and the limitations that's going to place on him. So there it is. That's my official take. Floyd Mayweather by unanimous decision in a fairly one-sided fight. Victor might have his moments from time to time, but overall I'm looking for a dominant performance from Floyd Mayweather.